Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. Now today's video is a bit of a deep cut. It's for those who live and breathe all things Rangers, not just the current first team, but you've got a talented youngsters that's coming up here trying to pave a way to the first team at the football club. You've got players on the outside just trying to fight and hopefully stay at this football club. And then you've got the big guns that's trying to remind everyone and show everyone what they've actually got. It's a loan review series, ladies and gentlemen. This is the series that we obviously spoke so much about Stephen Kelly over the last couple of years. We've seen him grow into the player he now is. Well, it's time for the first time this season to check in on the Rangers loanees and see who's impressing and who is currently struggling. Now, disclaimer right off the bat, just in case you haven't seen this series before, we're not going to cover every single player that's currently out on loan from the academy to the Rangers B to the Rangers first team, because we'll be here all day and it's Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody wants to see this for longer than necessary going in to a weekend, so we're just going to keep it to the players that's been in and around the first team, whether that's training or obviously being a part of the squad. So I think with that being said, it's time to just dive right into this, and we'll start with some of the young talented players that we've currently got out on loan. And I think we'll start with someone who really emerged last year and started to make a name for himself, and that's none other than James Maxwell, the young left back who really burst onto the scene last season for his loan, scoring versus Hibs in a cup. We love to see that. But ladies and gentlemen, translating into this season so far for Ayr, he has played 7 times in all competitions and has not quite reached the same heights as he did last year, where he was absolutely phenomenal pretty much the entire campaign. But I'm not going to hold that too much against him, because one of my pet peeves, that if you've watched this series for the last 5-6 years that we've actually done it, one of my biggest pet peeves is when we loan a player out, he hasn't actually played in the position that we need him to be developed in. Well, it's happening again, ladies and gentlemen, this time unfortunately for James Maxwell. Because of his 7 appearances so far for Ayr this season, not one of them has actually been where he's best played and where we want him to be played, and that is at left back. He spent the majority of his time at the left mid / left wing role, and then even played a game at right wing. Frustrating to see, because he was really class last season and he was starting to get a bit of a name for himself. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks going into the next month, by the time we do the next report, he'll be actually playing where he's best played, and that is at left back. But moving from one very talented youngster over to another, let's talk about the man, Kai Kennedy, who again has a sort of feeling of a Stephen Kelly going on, where you can see he'll definitely have a future and a chance to play in the first team over the next couple of years, because he stole so many headlines, stole so many hearts. He got another contract out of Steven Gerrard, who continues to talk this lad up, because Gerrard rates Kai Kennedy so damn highly. But so far this season, ladies and gentlemen, just like a lot like James Maxwell, it is not working out and he's not performing at the level we know he's capable of. But again, I'm not going to be too overly critical on Kai Kennedy, because he is currently at Dunfermline, and if you're paying attention to Dunfermline, every single thing is going wrong. It's not as if Kai Kennedy isn't performing and the rest are. No, nobody is performing right now for Dunfermline, as they find themselves rock bottom with a manager that's in charge who is absolutely clueless with his personnel choices, his formation, playing people out of position. It's an absolute shambles, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's the best way to actually say it, and I just think this madness that's going on between the fans revolting versus the board who's backing the manager who doesn't have a clue what he's doing, all this right here is just an absolute tumble dryer of pain and frustration, and I think that's playing its part in Kai Kennedy's slow start to the season, as he's played 7 games in all competitions with 0 goals and 0 assists, and that's not like that laddie at all. Hopefully something happens soon regarding the managerial position for Dunfermline, but if it doesn't and it's still in the same situation where it is right now in January, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised to see Rangers pull Kennedy away from the Dunfermline loan and loan him to another team that actually gets the ball down and tries to play football. Speaking of a loan that may just end earlier than a lot of people were expecting, that leads me into the next talented up and coming player by the name of Josh McPeek, as he's down there and more coming. I'm going to be honest, he played 7 games in all competitions as well, but the problem with him is he's barely getting an impact on the park. After a very bright start to his career down at Morecambe, with a couple of very impressive debuts where he was getting a lot of praise for his creativity, his willingness to beat a man, etc, etc, it's only gotten worse as his time has actually went on, as he's dropped away from the starting 11. He's started getting less and less minutes as a sub, and then in their most recent 2 games he was an unused substitute, as he's played 7 games in all competitions but only 322 minutes during that time. So that's one to look out for, and I wouldn't be surprised if something's done then as well. But Josh McPeek's a very good player. We've heard so many people talk him up, and we've seen what he was able to do last season when he was in the right situation. So if anybody can turn that around and get back in and be absolutely killing nailing it by the next time we do this loan review series, it's Josh. So let's see what the kid's got. So I'm going to be honest with you, we've kind of stumbled out the gate so far in today's video with no one really impressive just yet, but that thankfully is going to change as we move to big Lewis Mayo himself, who if you watched last season's loan review, I had a lot of problems with his loan at Dunfermline because he played everywhere but where he was supposed to be played, and that is centre back. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, can I just say Lewis Mayo is finally playing the majority of his time at centre back. Can we just get a wee round of applause and embrace that, because the kid is finally showing what he's able to do. And what I like about Lewis Mayo is as well, he's a big, honest laddie who's as consistent as they come. He's not like a 10 out of 10 performance, he's not a world beater or anything like that just yet in his career, but he's a 6 or 7 out of 10, and that's all you can ask for when you are getting a young laddie on loan. And he's played every single minute available in every single game for Partick Thistle, which shows you how consistent he actually is. But you might have noticed I did say the majority of the time, because it is Lewis Mayo, because he is so flexible and can play anywhere on the defensive line. He's also played one game at left back, just like one game at right back, but thankfully the majority of his time so far has been centre back, and that looks to be continuing as we come back for the international break. But Lewis Mayo isn't the only Rangers player that's currently at Partick Thistle. No. We have almost the forgotten-est man by the name of Jake Hastie. However, this one's going to be a lot shorter than the rest of them, because we all know where Jake Hastie's career lies, or his future lies. It's not going to be at Rangers, unfortunately. I'm not going to sit here and poke fun, because that must be absolutely gutting to have a dream and get there and have it no quite work out. So I'm not going to say anything bad about the lad or anything like that. I tried, it just, we moved on as a football club too quickly and he wasn't able to close that gap. But what I like about this loan compared to his previous one at Motherwell is when he is getting on the park, he looks hungry to try and really make something happen. And I think that's what this loan is all about for Jake Hastie. It's just about showing you can get there, you can recapture your form that did earn you a move to Rangers, so you can earn a move somewhere else in the future, and that's what Jake Hastie's trying to do. He's not starting a lot of games. In fact, he's only started one so far this season, but he did score on his one start, but the rest of them have been substitute appearances. But at least he's offering something when he's coming off the bench, which is a stark contrast to what he was doing last season. So I hope it works out for Jake Hastie. Hopefully he can force his way more into the starting 11, and I hope he can earn that move to get him back doing what he wants to do, and that is playing football. But now it is time to get to the old big guns of the old loan reviews, and the people that everyone is looking out for to see what they can actually do. And it's quite funny that you say big guns, and the first player we speak about, is none other than Glen Middleton, because he's been around forever, and a lot of people have written this young laddie off, but believe it or not, he is still only 21 years old. He's the same age or younger than some of these up and coming talented players that we've talked about. He's younger than Jake Hastie, he's the same age as Lewis Mayo, but because he's been in and around the first team for so long, people are flung him away and don't even want to pay attention to him, whilst want to speak about other 21-year-olds at the club who could become some. That to me is baffling, because if we're sitting here writing off Glen Middleton at 21, stop the bus, because I'm wanting off, because he's been absolutely brilliant so far now that he's actually been able to play consistently for St Johnstone. He's played 10 games, 1 goal and 1 assist, that 1 assist coming in European football during St Johnstone's short venture in there. But anyone who's paying attention to St Johnstone or anything like that will see that that assist chart should be a hell of a lot higher if the guys in front of him could actually put the ball away, with the amount of chances and crosses he's putting on their head 6 yards out. I mean, every highlight you see St Johnstone, Middleton cross, Middleton set piece, Middleton cross, and it's miss, and that has been the only frustration for me looking at Glen Middleton, because he's having a very good season so far, but it could be even better and backed up with better stats if the people he was creating for were putting the ball away more regularly. But something that I noticed for Glen Middleton's loan that I really want to talk about, because this is what really jumps out to me, because we know a lot about Glen Middleton, right? We know he's an old-fashioned Neil McCann-esque player that likes to play with his chalk at his boots out wide and whip balls in, and that's been kind of gone against him trying to break into this Rangers team, because we've moved away from that. We've now got inverted wingers, etc. We want our guys in the middle of the park constantly, and that's kind of moved Glen Middleton and fell him away from breaking into our first team. However, so far this season for St Johnstone, I don't know if it's been instructions maybe by Rangers sending him out there, want him to do this, or if it's St Johnstone just giving him the free roam because he is their most creative player by far. But he's coming in at the centre of the park a lot now. He's playing in the middle, he's picking things, he's looking for through balls, and it's that invertedness that gets me very, very excited, because if he can keep playing like this and keep adapting to that role, there may, just maybe, a future at Rangers for Glen Middleton if he continues to develop into this player that he's currently being. I mean, his set pieces are absolutely second to none as well. He should have a couple of goals. He's hit the bar a couple of times for a free kick. He's having a great season, but the thing I'm looking out for most and I want to see more of is this role where he's developing and come inside, because that could give him the second bite of the old cherry to make it at Rangers. So best of luck to Glen Middleton. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're absolutely killing it. And you know what, as the temperature is getting up now, as we've just heard of a very good player, let's jump over and talk about another one then, shall we? And that means we need to get on a plane and go over to Germany to catch up on big Ced the Ted himself, Mr. Cedric Itten. Now, big Cedric, on paper, and this is what I love doing in this series, because anyone who's just having a quick Google or anything like that will see 4 games so far for Itten with 2 starts and 2 substitute appearances. And you might just look at that on paper and go, oh, he's flopping, no interest or anything like that. But that is what this series is here for, troops, to give you the real information and the real story. And the real story is Cedric Itten is performing so far over Germany as they're trying to work out and change their play style to fit his aerial dominance that he is showing that he is capable of. Because in the 4 games that he's played so far this season, he has scored 1 goal during that time, and that goal was a big boy header versus Bayern Munich, in which he gave Neuer absolutely no chance in. He's no bad in the old goalkeeping situation, ladies and gentlemen, but his performances on the park and what he's been able to show during those 4 games has earned him a recall back to the Switzerland national team, which you all know means absolutely everything to him. He was a top qualifier or top scorer in qualification in the previous campaign, but lost his place because he wasn't playing enough in Rangers, and the way he was getting used wasn't impressing the Switzerland manager. But now that he's actually back playing as a centre forward, a big guy in the box, and he's getting crossed into by wingers so he can header it in, rather than him being out wide crossing it to wingers. He's actually shown what he's capable of doing, and that's earned him the recall to the old national side, and hopefully it works out for the best for the big laddie, because we all know all about him. We know how he was getting kind of used outside of his comfort zone, but he's a big centre forward. You give him the service and he'll offer his son, and he's done that so far this season. I can't wait to see what else he's able to do during this Bundesliga and internationally for Switzerland. Now, last but certainly not least, we have the man who's probably in all our hearts, and that is none other than big Katic. Not only because of what he was able to do on the park, but his story going off it with such a serious injury. I mean, career-altering injury, if you will, because we never know what happens when you have such a serious injury. When you're out for over a year, what type of player you could potentially be when you come back and everything like that. And that's led into this loan. That's the only reason he was loaned out. Gerrard was very frank with that. The only reason he loaned him out was to get some game time that he didn't think he would have got at Rangers, but considering the injury crisis we've got, he might have been best staying home. But anyway, he went over to Croatia, and so far this season, again, he's not played so many games, but he has played 3 games in all competitions, including 1 start and the other 2 being late substitute appearances to see out games and make sure they didn't lose. And I think the best thing we can all say about big Katic is he's went in there and he's still his same mental dive, throw your head at everything, get stuck into everything guy. Like, the injury hasn't messed with him mentally, where sometimes it can affect players and brings them and changes them a little bit. But Katic, so far, with all the reports and the Google Translates and that I've been using, have been praising how good he is in the air and how much he throws himself about. That's the Katic we know, ladies and gentlemen. And it's only 3 games so far in the loan with only 1 start. But again, it's no FIFA or Fitbit Manager. The man went through such a serious injury. It's going to take time before he's playing week in and week out, and that's why he was loaned out overall. But within the 3 games that he's played, again, it's all been positive and all been praised, and they haven't yet lost when Katic has played a game of football as well. So it's good to see that undefeated streak continues with Katic in and around the building. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That has been the loan review series. If you stuck through right here, you are absolute legends, and I greatly appreciate all the support. But let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on the loanees. Who do you think is going to be the star, or anything like who stood out to you if you've watched anything from the players? For me, my overall loanee of the month or anything like we normally do on the channel has to be Glen Middleton. He's been absolutely sparkling so far this season, and long may that continue. But I'm officially done and dusted. If you got involved down there in the comment section below and hit that like button, I will be speaking to you very shortly. But until next time, that's been Rocky Boy Johnson. I've been Sieging over 92. Take care of yourselves, enjoy your weekend, and bye.